Drawing Gasket 1 using AutoCAD. In this tutorial we are going to draw the gasket that I'm putting up here on the screen. And what we're going to do in this tutorial is show you that you only have to draw maybe a quarter of it. So if I look at this bottom left hand quarter, you can see, if it's identical to all the rest of the corners. So what we're going to do is actually draw these circles, draw about halfway, so half of 6 is 3, and draw halfway up here, which is 1.5, and then we're going to simply mirror these over to finish it off. To get started, you have to make sure you have your default border done from the previous assignment and make sure everything's there. So when I go to the drop down menu, I should have all my different layers there, and on the screen right now you should have your border turned on and you should see the border layer. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is change to object lines. So I come down here and I switch to my layer called object lines, and this lets me draw my drawing. So to start with, I'm going to draw a circle, and I'm going to start my circle at 2, 2. And the reason 2, 2 is when I switch back over to the drawing, you can see that it says, just start there. And that's only just to start somewhere. It doesn't really matter where you start. Okay. And I'm immediately going to go R for radius, and I'm going to put in 0.71. And that's my radius there for my first thing. Okay. And if I come back to the drawing, that's my outside radius. And if you find it, there it is, 0.71 radius. Okay. Next, I'm going to draw the inside circle, which is 0.5. So go back here, go back to circle again. And I can grab, because I'm snapped, I can find center. If I wanted to use O snaps, I would come down to object snap, turn it on, and you can see when I get close, you can see the green, and I'm going to zoom in here. You'll see, oops, let me try that one more time. There we go. It'll automatically find center for you. Okay, so we do that, and my D this time, so type D for diameter, is 0.5. Okay, so there's my first bit. Next, what I'm going to do is draw a line from the center. And again, this time I'm going to go out 3, so I've got my dynamic display on, which is F12, and you can see I've automatically at 3, so I'm just going to click there, hit escape, and I'll hit the space bar to bring back the last command, and I'm going to go up this time up to 1.5, and I could just go at 1.5 at an angle of 90, and that way I know I'm up there. Okay, so there's those. Next I can type offset. I'm going to offset 0.5 of an inch, and click from here over and here up. What that does is halfway on this drawing, right? So I've gone halfway there, halfway there. So next I'm going to fill it. So I'm going to fill it this radius right here, which is 0.35. So go back to my drawing and I'm going to type in fillet. Oops, let me get out of that command. Fillet. From fillet, I'm simply going to go R for radius, and it's 0.35. And then I click on the circle, click on the line, and you can see there's my fillet there. Space bar to bring it back, flip it there and there. Now I can trim stuff out, so I'm going to type in trim. Okay, and what I'm going to do is between here and here, I'm going to right mouse click and get rid of that stuff. And then I'm going to type in trim again, and this one here, right mouse click, and then I'm going to trim that bit of stuff out. Okay. Now when you look, I've completed basically this portion right here. Okay, so that's all done. So what I'm going to do now is I could, mirror or copy it or mirror it right now, but I'm going to put the center lines in right away so it's done. Okay, and it's a little close to the edge here, so for we'll copy it this way. So I'm just going to highlight it all that way. I'm going to M for move. I'm going to find the center point, and I'm just going to move it up 1 or 2 just for something to do right now. Then I'm going to come up, switch to my center line layer. From here I'm going to go to line, and I'm going to select and go across, and there's my center line. So if you've done it right, automatically this center line is going to show up. Okay, and I'm going to draw one more line from the top, and you can see how I've got the O snap on. It's starting to pick areas, which is driving me nuts. So I'm going to come down, turn O snap off, and now I can actually just pick where I want it to pick. And there's my center lines put in. Now, if your center lines come in and you know you've got it set up right, but they come in as a straight line, it means you set up your drawing wrong. So you might have to change the center line. So if I click on a center line, right mouse click, and I go properties, right here this line type scale, some people, they've messed up on their drawing. You might have to play with this, and by default it might be 0.025. And when I do that, okay, you can actually see how mine disappears. Okay, so there's mine now is a straight line, but if I zoom into it, you can see it's actually there. Okay, So what I'm going to do is, for some people you might have to change it to that. For me, I've done it right. So therefore I'm just going to undo it here, and there we go. That was Control Z to undo. So now I've got my corner done, and I can just type in mirror now, and I highlight everything. Right mouse click, and I'm just going to pick the corner, and I'll zoom out here so you can see this. Okay, and you can see now that I've mirrored half of it. And it says at the bottom here, do you want to erase a source object? N for no, it's by default. And then I'm going to highlight all of this and spacebar to bring back the mirror command. Pick the line, and then I can mirror it again. Okay, and do I run this erase source object? No again, and then there we go. Okay, so there now is my object. I'm just going to highlight the whole thing. M for move to put it up to the center, and we're just going to put it there. Okay, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to dimension it. Okay, and dimensioning it is pretty self-explanatory. We can go to annotate and just dimension. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to go back to home, and I'm going to go to the dimension layer. So I come down to dimensions, it'll change the color. And then what I'll do is go back to annotate, dimension, and a regular dimension, I go off the ends of the center lines, and I go from there to there. And you see how mine's way too big. Okay, what happens is you have to go change it. Okay, and in my particular instance, I know I've changed this file once, so I have to go back into my dimensions. There's a little arrow right here, and I'm going to go to modify. You should have standard here, modify. And primary units, what I did is I accidentally scaled it up. So I got to go back to fit here, and I'm going to change that back to a 1. Okay, and click on OK, and click on close. Actually, one more thing, I got to go modify. And primary units, I put them in architectural, I got to put them in decimal. Okay, but while I'm here, I'm going to put only 2 decimal places. Okay, so there we go. I've got that set up right. Close. Now when I dimension, I'm going to dimension from here to here, and you can see there's my dimension. Right. So now you can follow on the screen here. Go and put these dimensions in. So you got this one here, this one here. These guys don't, they cross. Okay, this one here, radiuses and diameters, I'll show you how to do those. So let's simply click on here and go down to radius. So I would just pick this and say there's my radius there. And if I want to go diameter, I'd pick my diameter there and just pick the circle that I want to do and then go to there. Okay, so you can finish all that stuff off yourself to finish all the dimensions. And then finally, the last thing you need to do is do the text down at the bottom, which is simply going again back to a different layer. In this case, your text is a border because you're putting the text in the border. So I'm going to change to border layer. And I'm just going to zoom in here. I can just type in the word text. And then where am I going to start? You see I'm jumping around right now. I'm going to actually hit escape to get out of this. Type in snap. And when you look down here, it's actually going to tell you in the instructions that you might want to move your text around. Oh look, I didn't put it in. So what we'll do is go back to here and just type in text and specify the text height. Hang on a second, let's do that again. Text. And the start point, no, we're going to type in snap is what we're going to do. And right now it's 0.25, so I'm going to change it to 0.05. Okay, and that's going to make it really, really small snapping. Okay, and then type in text. And now I can go and add it. And you can see it bounces around a little bit. And it's Mr. Oops, text height is going to be 0.25. Okay, and go through, and my text height is going to be Mr. C. May be a little bit too big. So I'm going to try that again. Text, specify the start point right here. Text height, I don't know, let's make this 0.15. Okay, and now when I type in Mr. CLAASSEN, okay, it actually fits in there. Okay, double click it, and then I can just grab it and actually move it into place so it's nicely centered. Okay, so once again, you can fill in the rest of it, the date, the scale, you've drawn it 1 to 1. So you'd put 1 to 1 here. The drawing number is going to be 1 of 1 because there's only one drawing. In the title area, you make it bigger, and this is going to be Gasket 1. Okay, and when you're complete, if you go back to here and you scroll in, and I'm just going to zoom into this, you know that it's going to look identical to that. Okay, except you can have your little logo there. Okay, but that is the answer. So if I zoom all the way in here, move it over like this, you'll end up on the screen having it look identical to this. So make sure it looks just like that. Okay. The final thing is when you are done, to print it, you go File, you come down to Print. From Print, you change it to the Room 500 CP. If you don't have this one, you can just use Room 500 black and white. Okay, but it should be CP. Okay, and then from there, paper size should be 8.5 by 11. You want what to plot is going to be the extents. What I want to also do is center the plot. So you got that there. Not fit on paper because I think yours is set to that. What we do is we go Custom and we go 1:1. And then when I go Preview, what you're going to see is you're going to have all the different colors. And you're going to see this border. It should be 1/2 inch all the way around. So if you've done it right, it's going to look exactly like this on the screen. And then you just hit Print and away it goes out to the printer. Okay? And that pretty much concludes this video tutorial on how to print, draw your gasket one, dimension it, put your text in, and then finally print it. Good luck.